she said. If your dad was single, I'd probably date him instead. He's just more successful. That sentence hit me harder than any argument we'd ever had. The room went silent, like someone had just unplugged the music mid-laugh. 12 people sat around the table, eyes darting between us, unsure whether to laugh or cringe. I froze, trying to process whether I'd really heard my fiancée say she'd rather date my father. Yeah, she said it. My name's Evan, I'm 29, and I've been engaged to Tara for 6 months. We've been together 2.5 years, and until that dinner party, I thought I knew who I was marrying. We'd spent months planning the wedding venue booked, invitations designed, deposits paid. I'd put in about 18 grand already. She'd covered 12. Her parents added 5,000. My dad said he'd take care of the bar tab knowing my family. That'd be another 10 easily. Everything was lined up. Until that night, Tara was radiant that evening. Black silk dress, new heels, hair perfectly curled. She'd told me 3 times that the dress cost nearly $400. I didn't comment. I thought she was just excited to feel glamorous. The dinner party was hosted by my college friend, Nate, and his wife, Jenna. They lived in this gorgeous condo overlooking the Hudson River dim lights. Catered food, laughter echoing through their place like something out of a Netflix rom-com. Everyone had a glass of wine in hand, and for a while it felt easy. Comfortable. Then came that conversation. Maybe Nate joked about marrying up. It was light-hearted at first. Everyone teasing their partners, talking about who outturned who, and then Tara leaned back in her chair, eyes gleaming, and said the line that cracked something deep inside me. If Evan's dad was single, I'd date him. He's way more successful. No offense, babe, but come on. Your dad's house, the Tesla, the trip stats, the life I want. She said it casually, like ordering dessert. Everyone froze. I could feel my ears burning. My fingers clenched around the fork. My mouth went dry. I turned to her. What did you just say? She laughed, dismissive. Relax, I'm just being honest. Your dad is impressive. You're great buddies. Well, he's made it. Jenna quickly jumped in with a movie reference to break the tension. But the air had already soured. Every time I looked up, I caught someone's pitying glance. I barely spoke for the rest of the night. Tara didn't seem to notice. She kept laughing with the others, sipping her wine like nothing happened. We drove home in silence. The city lights blurred past the windshield. I could still hear her words replaying in my head like a broken record. He's more successful. That's the life I want. When we got back to our apartment, I finally broke the silence. We need to talk about what you said. She kicked off her heels and sighed. About what? About wanting to date my dad instead of me. She blinked, exasperated. Oh my God, Evan. It was a joke. Nobody was laughing because everyone's too sensitive. Joke or not, you said it. In front of people. She shrugged. I was just saying your dad's successful. It was a compliment. No, I said quietly. It was a comparison. She rolled her eyes. You're seriously upset about this? You basically told everyone at that table that I'm not good enough. I did not. I said your dad is more successful. Which is true. My stomach twisted. Tara, my dad's 30 years older than me. Exactly, she said, crossing her arms. He's established. He's, well, the goal. I stared at her. You just called my father a goal. Successful, she corrected. I said successful, after saying you'd rather date him. Oh my God. You're twisting my words. I wasn't. She just didn't like hearing them out loud. We argued for half an hour, her voice sharp, mine breaking. Eventually she went to bed, muttering something about how men can't take jokes anymore. I lay on the couch that night, staring at the ceiling, wondering how something so small could make me question everything. But it wasn't small. It was the kind of thing you don't say unless you mean at least part of it. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Made coffee, kissed my cheek, talked about wedding colors. I couldn't take it. After she left for work, I called my dad. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey, son, what's up?" I hesitated, then said it all the dinner. Her comment, how she doubled down, how I felt small in my own relationship. There was a long pause. I could hear him exhale slowly. "She said that to your face? In front of people?" "Yep. And when you told her it hurt, she said you're being too sensitive." "Pretty much." He went quiet again. Then his tone changed, steady, calm, almost surgical. "Bring her over for dinner Friday night." "Why?" "I'd like to have a conversation with her, Dad." "Trust me," he said. "Just tell her it's a normal family dinner." That Friday, Tara spent over an hour getting ready. She picked her nicest outfit, red lipstick, the diamond earrings I'd given her for Christmas. She asked twice if she looked okay. "You look fine," I said. "Just fine." "You look great." She smiled, clearly satisfied, and we drove to my dad's house. She talked the whole ride about how we should ask him for honeymoon advice, since he travels so much. He probably knows the best luxury resorts. When Dad opened the door, he greeted her politely, hugged me, and invited us in. His dining table looked straight out of a magazine pot. Roast, wine, candles. Tara gushed over everything. "This house is incredible. Serious goals." Dad nodded politely. "Thanks." Dinner started light, easy. She talked about wedding plans, the floral arrangements, the dress fittings. Dad listened quietly, nodding, occasionally asking a question. Then, mid-meal, he set down his fork. "So," he said, "I wanted to discuss something." Tara smiled, unaware. "Of course. What's up?" He reached into his shirt pocket, pulled out a folded paper, and slid it across the table. She frowned. "What's this?" "A list of therapists," he said calmly. "You should see one before marrying my son." Her face froze. Tara blinked at the paper in front of her, unsure whether she'd heard him right. "I'm sorry." "What?" she said, her voice half laugh, half confused. Dad didn't flinch. "You need professional help before marrying my son." Her perfectly lined lips parted, but no sound came out. She looked at me, waiting for me to rescue her. To say it was some kind of misunderstanding, I didn't. She turned back to him, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I don't understand what this is about." Dad leaned back in his chair, hands folded. His voice was calm, but there was a firmness in it that made even me sit straighter. "It's about what you said last weekend," he said, "at that dinner party. How, if I were single, you'd rather date me because I'm more successful." The color drained from her face. "You told him?" she hissed at me. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I did. That was private." Dad cut in. "You said it at a dinner party with a dozen people. Nothing private about that." She shook her head, her earrings catching the light. "I was joking." Dad's brow lifted slightly. "Were you? Because from what my son told me, you didn't apologize. You defended it. You said he was being too sensitive." "I didn't mean it like that," she stammered. "I was just saying you're successful." It was a compliment. He smiled, but it wasn't kind. You can compliment someone without comparing them to their child, and without humiliating your partner in public. Her breathing quickened. "I wasn't humiliating him. Then, what would you call it?" I was just being honest." "Honesty without empathy," Dad said, "is cruelty dressed up as truth." That line hit her like a slap. She blinked fast, trying to hold herself together. "This is insane," she said, looking between us. "You two are ganging up on me." Dad shook his head. "No, we're holding you accountable." "There's a difference." I sat frozen, the fork still in my hand. I'd never seen my father speak to someone like that. Not angry, not loud, but deliberate. He wasn't defending me like a dad. He was exposing her, like a surgeon reveals a wound. Tara's tone turned brittle. "I did apologize." "No," he said evenly. "You told him he was being sensitive. That's not an apology, that's a deflection." "I don't have to sit here and be attacked," she said suddenly, pushing back from the table. Her chair screeched against the hardwood. You're not being attacked, Dad said. You're being told the truth. My son deserves someone who values him for who he is, not for how closely he mirrors my lifestyle. Her jaw trembled. I'm not using him, then tell me. Dad said quietly, when's the last time you asked about his work? About what he builds, what he cares about, beyond how much it pays? She said nothing. That's what I thought. He reached for his fork again, unbothered. You need help, Tara. Because if you marry my son with this mindset, you'll destroy him and I won't let that happen. Her eyes filled with tears. You're unbelievable, she said. Both of you. She grabbed her purse and stormed toward the door. Are you coming? She snapped at me. I looked at her for a long second. No, I said. I'm staying for dinner. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Then she let out a sharp, disbelieving laugh. Fine, don't expect me to be home when you get back. The front door slammed so hard that one of Dad's framed photos rattled on the wall. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Dad calmly cut into his pot roast. This turned out pretty good, he said. I couldn't help it, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the absurdity of it all had nowhere else to go. Yeah, I said quietly. It did. You okay? He asked. I don't know yet, I admitted. That's fair, he said. Take your time figuring it out. We ate in silence after that. Just the clink of silverware and the soft hum of the kitchen clock. There was something surreal about sitting there, eating pot roast after watching my fiancée get verbally dismantled by my father. And yet, beneath the shock, there was this strange calm, like I'd finally stopped pretending everything was fine. When I got home later that night, she wasn't there. Her clothes were still in the closet. Her perfume still hung in the air, but the apartment felt emptier than it had in months. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Tara, at my mum's. Can't believe what just happened. Me, we were just honest with you. Tara, your dad was completely out of line. Me, he's right though. Tara, whatever. I stared at the screen for a long time before setting the phone down. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, her mum called. Not her, her mum. We need to discuss last night, she began, her tone clipped, like she was calling customer service. You and your father ambushed my daughter. That's unacceptable. I took a breath. We didn't ambush her. We had a conversation about something serious. She said she was joking. Why is everyone so sensitive? It wasn't funny. It was disrespectful. You're blowing this completely out of proportion. She complimented your father, and suddenly she's the villain. She didn't compliment him, I said, my voice sharper now. She said she'd date him instead of me because he has more money. A pause. She didn't mean it literally. Then what did she mean? Silence. Then you know what? She deserves better than this. Better than you and your controlling father. If that's how she feels, I said evenly, she's free to leave. Maybe she will. Good. I hung up before she could say anything else. 2 hours later, Tara came back. Her eyes were puffy, her hair a mess. She looked smaller, somehow like the confident, sharp-tongued woman from before had deflated overnight. We need to talk, she said quietly. Okay, she sat on the couch. I stayed standing. I didn't want to sit too close. My mum thinks we should postpone the wedding, she said. Why? Because clearly you and your dad don't respect me. I sighed. We don't respect what you said. There's a difference. I apologized. When? I asked. When did you actually apologize? I said, I'm sorry for phrasing it badly. That's not the same thing. Her eyes flashed with frustration. What do you want from me? To grovel. I want you to understand why what you said hurt me. Actually understand it. Not just say words to make this go away. I do understand. Do you? I asked quietly. Because every time we talk about it, you defend yourself. You call me sensitive. You say it was a joke. That's not understanding, that's avoidance. She wiped her face, shaking her head. Why are you being like this? You're so cold. This isn't you. No, I said. This is me. This is me finally paying attention to red flags I've been ignoring. Red flags, she repeated, stunned. Yeah, I said. Like how you talk about my dad's house, his car, his vacations. How you never ask about my work unless it's about money. How every dream you describe involves his life, not ours. That's not fair. Then tell me, I said, leaning forward. What project am I working on right now? What am I building? She froze. Exactly, I said softly. You don't know, because you don't care. Tears slipped down her face. That's not true. Then prove it, I said. Tell me something, anything about my job. She stayed silent. I rubbed my temples. Look, I need space. Maybe you should stay at your mum's for a few days. She stared at me, horrified. Are you breaking up with me? I don't know yet. I just need time to think. Over one stupid comment, she shouted. It's not about one comment, I said quietly. It's about what that comment revealed. She packed a bag and left. The door clicked shut behind her, soft this time, not a slam, just the quiet end of something that had already died. I sat down on the couch, the same spot where she'd been moments before, and let the silence fill the room. For the first time in years, it didn't feel suffocating. It felt honest. The first few days after Tara left were eerily calm. No calls, no texts, no slammed doors, just quiet. At first I thought maybe we were both cooling off. Maybe space was what we needed. But by the third day, the silence turned into something else. My phone started buzzing again, not with her name, but with unknown numbers and half-familiar ones, our wedding vendors. The florist called first. Hi, Evan, just confirming the cancellation for next weekend. I froze. What cancellation? Oh, your fiancé called this morning. Said you both decided to postpone indefinitely. I clenched my jaw. We didn't. That's news to me. A pause. Oh well. She sounded certain. I thanked her and hung up. Then came the caterer, the venue, even the band, all confirming the cancellations. By the end of the afternoon, my entire wedding had been quietly dismantled, one phone call at a time. When I finally reached her, she sounded calm. Too calm. I thought it was best, she said. Since you needed space. Tara, you just cancelled our entire wedding without talking to me. You said you didn't know if we were still together. I didn't say we were over. You basically did, she snapped. What was I supposed to do? Keep planning like nothing happened? Embarrass myself when you backed out at the last second? I rubbed my forehead, trying to keep my voice steady. You made that choice alone. I made it before you could, she shot back. I'm not going to be humiliated waiting around for you to decide if I'm good enough. This isn't about humiliation, isn't it? She said, bitterly. Because your father humiliated me. You humiliated me. Everyone's talking about it. You think people didn't notice when I left dinner crying? Tara, stop. No, she shouted. You two treated me like garbage, and now you want to act like I'm overreacting. I was joking. He turned it into a therapy session. That joke showed exactly who you are. Her breath caught. And who is that? Someone who only respects people when they have money. Someone who doesn't see me unless I'm measuring up to him. That's not fair, she said, her voice cracking. You're twisting everything. No, I said. For the first time, I'm not. Silence stretched across the line. Then she said, softly, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. Maybe, I said. But it'll be my mistake, not yours. I hung up. Over the next week, the drama metastasized. Mutual friends started calling. Her mum texted my father. Her cousin posted some cryptic nonsense online about men who can't handle strong women. And then came the dinner. The dinner, Dad's birthday was coming up, and my stepmom insisted on still hosting it. I don't want her drama ruining this, she said. Don't worry, I told her. She won't show. I was wrong. Halfway through dinner, just as Dad was carving the roast, the front door opened. Tara stood there, hair perfect, heels clicking on the tile, eyes sharp with the kind of anger that's been simmering for days. Hope I'm not late, she said. Every head turned. I stood up immediately. What are you doing here? Wishing your dad a happy birthday, she said sweetly, setting a gift bag on the counter. I wasn't invited, but I thought it'd be rude not to. Dad's jaw tightened. Tara, this isn't the time. Oh, I think it's exactly the time, she said, smiling too wide. Since everyone here apparently thinks I'm some gold-digging psycho. Tara, I started. No, go ahead, she said loudly, her voice echoing through the dining room. Let's talk about how your dad humiliated me. How you just sat there while he tore me apart, and then dumped me like I'm disposable. The table was silent. Forks halfway to mouths. She turned to my father, eyes blazing. You think I need help? You think you're so perfect because you have money? You're a control freak hiding behind class and manners. Tara, Dad said quietly, you're upset. But this isn't how you fix things. She laughed, a sharp, broken sound. Fix things? I'm not here to fix anything. I'm here to tell you both exactly what I think. I stepped forward. That's enough. No, it's not, she yelled. You humiliated me in front of everyone. I want you to feel what that's like. Her voice cracked on the last word, and for the first time, I saw it. Not anger, but desperation. She wasn't trying to hurt me anymore. She was trying to make sense of the wreckage she'd caused. Tara, I said softly, you're making this worse. She glared at me through tears. You never defended me, because you never asked me to. You expected me to read your mind and excuse everything. You used to love me, she whispered. I still do, I said. But love isn't supposed to feel like this. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. She stared at me for a long moment, then at my father, and something in her broke. Her face crumpled, and she turned and left without another word. The sound of the door closing this time wasn't angry. It was final that night. I sat outside on the porch, watching the porch light cast long shadows across the yard. Dad joined me, 2 mugs of coffee in hand. She came here because she doesn't know who she is without the fight, he said quietly. Yeah, I said. I think she believed anger was the only way to be heard. She's not the first, he said, and she won't be the last. But you did the right thing. I nodded slowly. Feels awful though. It always does, at first. I looked down at my hands. You were right about her, about everything. He smiled faintly. You didn't need me to be right. You just needed to see it for yourself. We sat there in silence for a while. Not the heavy silence of tension, but the kind that finally lets you breathe. 2 weeks later, a small envelope arrived in the mail. No name on the front, just my address in her handwriting. Inside was a short note. I'm in therapy now. Your dad was right. I needed help. I hope someday you can forgive me for how I handled things. You didn't deserve that, Tara. I read it twice, then folded it neatly and put it back in the envelope. I didn't text her. I didn't call Dot. But for the first time, I didn't feel angry, just grateful it was over. A few months later, I met someone new. Not at a bar, not online, at a charity build for affordable housing. She was on the architecture team, hair tied up, sleeves rolled, laughing at how crooked my hammering was. She didn't care what car I drove. She didn't ask what my father did. She just asked what I was building and listened. And in that simple, honest moment, I realized something my dad had been trying to teach me all along. Love isn't about finding someone who fits your life. It's about finding someone who builds with you.